So once you are on the Outgrow website, you can then go to the dashboard here. And in here, you can also see the 8 kinds of content pieces that you can create. And if you hover over them, it will give you some examples of what these are normally used for. So in my case, I'm just here to show you how the integration works. So I'll just use a sample chatbot to show you how you can pass the data from your Outgrow experiences to Zoho. So in this case, this is the chatbot. And as you can see, you can have different kinds of questions here, like text input, multi-select, single select, rating, date, time picker. You can also have images in your chatbot if you want. You can add GIFs, or you can also have videos. It's really up to you. And these kind of chatbots can be embedded anywhere in your website, on the bottom right corner if you want, and they just perform simple functions that will be able to guide your audience through various procedures. So once you have made your particular chatbot, you just click on publish, and then you do publish to selected domain, and then it will go live. But in your configure section, to set up the integration, you head to your configure section, and then you head to integrations here, and then you look for Zoho here. You'll find it here. I've already set up the integration before, so it's just asking me to reconfigure. But if you were going to set it up for the first time, then it would ask you to configure, and then it would just ask you for your Zoho email address and your password. It would just open up a new window to authenticate it with Zoho. So once I click on reconfigure, then I can just click on proceed, because that's my Zoho account. There are 2 options here, either to proceed or to proceed with segment, and I'm going to explain both the options to you. In the case of proceed, if you click on proceed, it will load up all the different fields and the respective Zoho fields. So these are the Outgrow fields, and these are the Zoho fields to which you're going to pass on the data. So you can, for instance, pass on the quiz name, source, the time it was created, the email address of the person who actually took the chatbot, because it's not a quiz in this case, it's a chatbot. So at some point in that chatbot, he must have entered his email. So you can pass on that data to Zoho. The phone number, you can ask a phone number and you can pass it on as well. All the individual questions that you ask in the chatbot and the way in which those questions were responded to, all of that data can be passed on to a corresponding Zoho field. So for instance, you can pass on the email to a corresponding Zoho email field. So if I type in E, and there I would find that there's a corresponding email field in Zoho. So you can pass it on to that, and then all of these questions, titles, answers can be passed on. Even the outcome can be passed on to a particular Zoho field. And then again, UTM sources, mediums, campaign, country, region, IP. All of this is collected by your Outgrow experience, and this can be passed on to Zoho. So once you have made sure that you have filled in all these connections, then you can just click on test connection, and that would establish the integration for you. And so that is how you set up the basic integration. You can also set up an advanced integration, by which I mean your Outgrow experiences will collect a lot of data, as you can see earlier. But what you can do, and not all of that data is going to be important, so what you can do is that you can first filter all the data in your Outgrow account, and then you can pass it on to Zoho. So for that, first you need to filter the data, and for that you need to go to Analyze in the Outgrow section, and then you go to User Details. And in this section, you will see all the data your experience has collected. And then you can add a filter to this data based on, say, question number 3. If question number 3 has been answered, if it has not been answered, if it contains a particular value, in that case, you're going to create a separate list of people who satisfy these conditions, and you can then save that list, save segment, and then you can go back into your configure section. You can go back into your Zoho integration here, and then you can click on proceed with segment, and that segment would show up here. Currently I haven't created any segments, so it's not showing it to me, but in your case, when you've made that filter, it would show it to you. And in that way, the data can be passed on after it has been filtered in Outgrow. So that's basically all the information that I wanted to give you guys about how you can set up the integration. If you have any more questions, feel free to email us at questions@outgrow.co.